This episode is sponsored by Proverbs 31 Business Systems. Are you tired of feeling like your business depends on you for everything? If your business slows down every time you step away, you may be the bottleneck. At Proverbs 31 Business Systems, we help faith-driven, service-based entrepreneurs build systems, workflows, and automation that allow their businesses to run without burnout. Take the 5-minute bottleneck test to discover what's really slowing your business down and what to fix first. Simply scan the QR code shown on the screen or visit proverbs31businesssystems.com. Now let's get into today's episode.
Worth more than gold. She doesn't.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming the Proverbs podcast. My name is John McCain, also known as Special Agent Chi, and on today's show we have Miss Beulah L. Martin. She's a founder of Martin Wellness, a faith-centered wellness brand that helps women embrace self-care as stewardship so they can live whole, spirit, soul, and body. Through workshops, retreats, speaking engagements, wellness, education, prayer, and meditation, she helps women move from burnout and wholeness and pursue their God-given purpose with greater peace, alignment, and intention. Welcome to the show, Beulah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks. A pleasure to have you on. So, in one sentence, can you explain what it is that you do, Beulah?
If I had to say one sentence, I would say I help women move from experiencing burnout to embracing self-care as stewardship so that they can live whole. It's like too many times people's lives are broken, and so helping them to put those fragments together.
So when did you first sense this calling to do this? How did this get started and everything? When did you first sense this?
It started originally in 2018. I had this idea to do wellness retreats. And so it was so random. I met someone at Whole Foods and we started talking and I shared my vision with her. And she's like, oh my God, I would like to do that too. I said, so let's do it together. And so we did. And so I did this retreat with my friends and it was awesome. And at the time I was on a health journey. And so I had lost over 100 pounds and I was just like, okay, other people need this too. And so initially it had a heavy fitness focus. I used to lead walking groups, just all the things. And then I realized I'm like, okay, wait, something is shifting here. And so God started showing me this is not just about the health component of it, but it's more holistic. And so that's originally where it started with me wanting to do retreats and me losing a bunch of weight. And it was birthed out of that. So it's evolved over the years though.
Oh, nice. So how many years has this been? Have you been in this space?
I started my business March 9th of 2019. And so this actually makes 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And so, but this is the first year that I have like fully stepped in it because I had a career as a speech pathologist and, a bunch of other things that I was doing previously as well. So.
Oh, wow. So how do you juggle all that? How do you balance, being, the business and everything? How do you balance everything?
I'm a calendar girl. Like my calendar dictates my life. If it's not on the calendar, it does not exist in my world. Like I literally put everything on the calendar because also too, like when you have multiple roles that you fill, there's going to be times that you have to say no to stuff, and so it's just like I let my calendar be the bad guy. It's not that I don't want to be there, it's that I already have something, so yes.
I like that. Let the calendar be the bad guy. Like blame it on the calendar, right? So how has your faith shaped the way that you understand wellness and self-care?
Oh, it's been everything. And that was part of even the shift for me. Because, like, when I originally started, and I'll tell anybody because I know your podcast is a faith-based one, it's like, go with God, go with what God gives you, and don't try and change to fit the world. And that was one of the mistakes that I made. Like, originally, when I started it, I knew it was supposed to be faith-based. Like, even when it came down to, like when you're creating your business and you make your title, it was wellness evangelist. And so it was like about me spreading the good news of being well. very clear on that. But somehow I decided that, oh, wait, no, I want to work in the schools and I want to help there.
Mm.
Well, schools don't hire wellness evangelists. They hire wellness consultants, though, and so it was like that shift there. And when I tell you, like, God just snatched me right on back up, like, ma'am, that's not what I told you to do. Let's get back to the original plan. I didn't ask you for your help. And so that brought me
Right.
back, but just really just digging into the word and seeing what God says about our health and what it is that he tells us to do and how we're to steward our bodies and all of those things is the foundation. And I always tell people, even when, I share when speaking and things, like when we're going to look at the 8 dimensions of wellness, we're starting with spiritual first, because that's your foundation.
Yes, yes, no, definitely. Especially when you don't, if you want to do, and I think that's the thing is that people realize it can be done like in terms of okay, but if it's not rooted in Christ with certain things, it's
Forget it.
not gonna work. I mean, some things may look, you said, what does it say in the Bible? It's like some things may look good
Right.
to this, but then it can lead to destruction.
Hmm.
If you're not acknowledging God and just acknowledging Him, it's like, God, what is it? And I think that's the tough part for us is that surrender of everything, like acknowledging Him.
Literally right here. Oh my right here. Oh my, that is it. It's surrender.
Yes.
Because it's just like, I don't know why we think we know better than God. And it's not that, I cut him out or anything. He was always here because I would even tell people when they would book me, like, listen, Beulah and Jesus will package deal. So he liable to come out at any moment. So if you offended by that, then I'm not your girl, but it was like me kind of doing a little bit of both. It wasn't totally like clear that this is
Mhm.
faith-based.
Oh yes, oh yes, and I love that it's just being like standing on, and I wasn't always like this in terms of just being bold and just
Mhm.
standing on like this is I'm rooted in God and that's
Mhm.
it.
That's
You
it.
can you like it or you don't.
That's it.
I love that. So what does it mean to leave? You said to leave whole spirit, soul, and body.
And so one of the things, and I talk about this in my book, and even on the cover, you'll see it's like puzzle pieces, because I think about how like sometimes you have this piece and then you have this piece. This is working well, but this one's not. So when you talk about living whole with your spirit, your soul, and your body, it's our spirit is our relationship with God, right? So making sure that is good, like you're spiritually, you're grounded, you're sound. I like to think of the soul as the bridge between the spirit and the body. And so your soul, that's your mind, your will, your emotions, and so many times it's like spiritually we may be good, but our emotions are all over the place, and it's just like we always have a, as they say with culture, a clap back for someone. We're not doing that. Like, no, that's not okay, and so we're very easily triggered. But then you also talk about your body. Like if you don't have your physical health and you're not taking care of that, you can't complete your assignment because this is our transportation in the earth. Like we're not getting a do-over. Like we don't get to trade it in. I know in modern day we could add some parts, take some parts away, but at the end of the
Mhm.
day, you have to take care of it. And so with the three of those, just really seeking to be in a place of wholeness, not to say perfection, because that's not it. We're not going to arrive there, but saying, okay, what am I doing to be the best that I can in all of these areas?
No, I like that, the wholeness of it.
Mhm.
Because like you said, I mean, if your emotion, especially if this is not right, your emotions and stuff is out of whack,
Right.
especially because you said you lost 100 pounds.
Hmm.
That has to take in terms of just like, what was that journey in
Oh
terms
my
of
God.
just going through that?
A whole one, a whole journey. Yes. And it's one of those things. And my heaviest as an adult, I was 286 pounds. And I was just like, you have to do something differently. And it was right after I had had my son. And so with having a child, it was like, okay, that's not baby weight, that's you. It's just like, let's get this together. Because so many times we'll say it's the baby weight, but it had to be a change in my mind, is where it had to start. And just thinking about food differently, thinking about exercise differently, not numbing myself with food. I'll tell people like food was my drug of choice. You couldn't find me doing drugs, or you wouldn't find me drinking or anything like that, but you will find me over there in the red velvet cake week, multiple times, and it's like it's the acceptable drug because people are like, oh, you like it? Have some more, that type of thing. Like we don't check each other on that. But if I was shooting heroin, someone would be like, girl, we're gonna get you in the rehab, type deal. And so that made it easy, to get to that point. But then I had to start to reverse it. So I started walking, I started drinking my water, I started praying. I was like, God, what are we going to do? Because clearly I can't do this on my own. It's not just calories in and calories out, because it is, I told anybody, I think it's a spirit. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, listen, that spirit of gluttony is real. It's the one sin that nobody wants to talk about, but it's real. And so, yeah.
No, I agree. No, nobody wants to talk about, like you said, if someone is like shooting up drugs or, taking crack, smoking crack, we will be on like, okay, yes, you need the addiction, but it's like food is an addiction.
It is.
It is an addiction. I know
Mhm.
I was in terms of the school of the Holy Ghost that he taught me was one of the addictions I would say I have is every time, like, let's say I've had a hard day or, just feeling depressed or just, feeling down, I will go and buy some chocolate, like box of chocolate and, make
Yeah.
myself feel good and everything. But
Yeah.
one thing I was convicted was, am I not your comforter? Why are you going to chocolate for comfort?
That part.
And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. And that's the thing one of the things that I started doing too, like when I would find myself wanting to emotionally eat, it was my cue that I
mhm.
needed to pray. Like,
Yes,
go talk to God. Like, don't call a
yes,
girlfriend. Don't do this. Go talk to him about what you're dealing with. He's
yes,
there.
yes. So that was one lesson. Like we don't talk about that can be an idol.
Oh,
Is
it is.
going to put that the chocolate and the stuff like and it's like the nice Ferrero Rocher, the nice
The
the
good
nice
stuff.
like Lindt chocolate, like I love those
Oh, don't
decadent
talk about
chocolate.
lint chocolate.
Yes, yes. So those were like the that was the chocolate of my choice, and it was just like as you're growing in the just it was like the little things we don't
Right.
think about of just how food can be like you said, gluttony. We don't talk
Hmm.
about it. Like that's the spirit of
It's
gluttony. And it
serious.
says it's in the Bible. It is a sin.
Clearly, clearly,
It's a
clearly.
sin.
But we don't want to talk about it.
No. It's the one we keep on the hush. But so how can a woman tell the difference between being tired from busy season and then living in chronic burnout?
One of the big differences, like when you're tired, like say you've had a busy season, kind of been a little bit of go, 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 a good nap and a good vacation, you feel restored. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just kind of have that downtime and you just like, you know what? All right, graduation's behind me. I did that. All right, we can move on. But then when you're looking at chronic burnout, a nap and a vacation is not going to fix that. It's like you're on this cycle. You're dreading work. It's like Sunday night, you just want to pull the cover over your head and never come out because it's like, oh my gosh, here we go back to Monday again. You don't even like engaging in activities that you typically would like to do, because you're just so exhausted all the time. The things that used to be fun, that used to bring you joy, you don't want to do that anymore, and it's just like you start to numb yourself a lot of times with food, or some women, they find themselves constantly at happy hour. I just need a drink. I just need a drink. I need to relax. And you see that going on for months and sometimes years. Unfortunately, it's like, okay, something else is going on here. Like, we need to fix this. And just kind of pulling back and saying, all right, what do I need to do?
No, I like that in terms of just looking at that. So what does biblical stewardship of the body, mind, and emotion and spiritual life look like for everyday practice?
And so what I would say, just like I said earlier, I always start with the spiritual part. And
Hmm.
so with that, it's our foundation. And God calls us to steward everything. We're managers, and so many times when we hear the word stewardship, we automatically just think money. And it's so
Hmm.
much more like it's everything. And so when you think about stewarding your spiritual life, are you doing that? Matthew 6:33 and giving him first things first. Literally when you wake up in the morning, is your first thought and breath, good morning, God. Thank you for another day. It's simple. Like your feet haven't even hit the floor yet, and then just taking that morning time to have a conversation with him. Like that's all prayer is. Just like I'm talking to you, I can talk to God in the same way.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be something formal. It doesn't have to be a ritual. It's a conversation. You could be getting dressed in the morning and you're talking to him. You could be driving to work and you're talking to him. You could be listening to worship music. It's like these are all practical things, but we think we have to block off an hour or it doesn't count. That's not true. It's like you could be on a prayer walk. That's one of my favorite things to do is to walk and pray. Be like, okay, God, where are we going today? What are we going to see? And just having a conversation. So that's one thing when it comes to the spiritual piece. When it comes to our body is a temple. Like he tells us, this is the house of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Just like we clean our house, if you were coming over, if Chioma say, hey, Beulah, I'm gonna come to your house and we're gonna do this. I'm gonna tell my son, make sure, even though you're not going to his room, go clean up that room, clean that
Yep.
bathroom, da, 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 all of those things, right? But we don't do that for the home of the Holy Spirit,
Mm.
and so what do we do? What does that look like? It means eating good, clean food. It means drinking water, not always having processed junky foods. Like that's how you're gonna steward your body. Moving, get up and go for a walk. It's like I tell people, if people can take time at work to go on a smoke break, you can go on a walk break. Take 10 minutes, go for a stroll, take 5 minutes even. So that's stored in your body. When comes to stored in your mind, what are you allowing in? Because the things you hear and the things that you see, it affects your mind. Are you asking Christ every day to renew your mind? Because that's what the word tells us, to renew our mind daily. And the reason why it has to be a daily practice, because stuff come at us so fast, especially in this information age. And with this little thing right here,
Yeah.
before you know it, some has taken you far left. And it's like, whoo, girl, pull it in, like pull it all the way in. And so being mindful of those things and putting up those gates, putting up those boundaries so that you protect that and put the good stuff in. If you're putting in the good stuff, there's not a lot of room left for the bad stuff. Like when you think about, I'm sure you've probably heard the story of like the big rock theory where you put the big rocks in first. And then by the time you get to the end, it's only room for like the sand and then the water. But that's because you put the good stuff in first, the most important things in first.
No, no, that's true. I
Did
love
I
that
hit all of the
analogy.
areas?
Yeah,
I think.
yes, yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes, you did. You did. So what would you say, I guess, for a woman who believes that she doesn't have time, money to support and prioritize her wellness? What would you say to that woman?
You want the honest answer? But
Yes.
no, like seriously,
Yes.
I would tell her that's a lot. Like point blank,
Mhm.
straight up, it's a lot. It's not true.
Mhm.
I mean, because here's the thing: we put our resources towards the thing that we prioritize, and it's just like people say who are in the finance industry. When people say they don't have money for this, they don't have money for that. Show me your check register. Show me your ledger to your account. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you where your money is, and it's the same thing. And that's why I say I live by my calendar. Show me your calendar. Like, what are you filling your time with? Guess what? Let's do this. Let's go to your apps. Let's go to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or whatever, and let's look at that timepiece where it shows how much time you spend there. Now
Mhm.
let's take some of that back, okay? And we're gonna start there. And starting small, 5 minute increments. Just like I mentioned earlier about taking a short walk at work, like set up a system with yourself. If you're working on movement, for example, say, you know what? Before I allow myself to have a meal, I'm gonna walk for 5 minutes and then
Mhm.
I'll eat. It's better to walk afterwards because it helps you to digest. But if you're struggling to get started, it's like that's an anchor because it's like, I know I'm gonna have this meal. Oh, did I get my movement in? Like, no, I didn't. If you're struggling to spend time with God, I live in the DC metro area. Commutes around here are crazy. You got plenty of time to spend with God. You can listen to worship music, you can listen to a sermon, you can do all of those things while you're kind of on the go. And so when you think about it, I like to tell people to think of habit stacking. And that's something I learned from James Clear in the book Atomic Habits, is putting two things together, something that you already do and then layer it on. Okay, you're already going to take the train to work. So while you're doing that, listen to worship music, listen to the Bible app, that type of thing, or audio Bible type thing. Or you're already going to have lunch. Okay, well, since I'm going to have lunch, I'm going to meet with a friend. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have a time with a friend, and that way we can catch up, we can chit chat, and then you're making that time to have that connection as well. So there's ways to do it.
No, no, they have no excuse. Miss Beulah said, no excuse
Done.
whatsoever. No, it's true. It's like, and you're right with the money. Like, it's like, let's see where your money is. We can see what you're, even just with the time. Doom
Yeah.
scrolling. In terms of just that, it's like, like you said, you ended up here and you're now looking at something else that you shouldn't even be looking at. So what transformation would you say people experience, from your workshop, your retreats, and working with you? What transformation do they usually experience?
One of the things that I've heard a lot of people talk about, because I'm very strong on this, is about them implementing boundaries. And so putting those boundaries around time, putting boundaries around relationships, because a lot of women, they have a hard time with saying no. Like that's one of the hardest things. And like for me, I have no problem with saying no. And so for me to teach someone how to say no, just like I told you earlier, the little thing I use with, I'm not the bad guy, my calendar is.
Mhm.
Same thing if my son wants to buy some new sneakers. Mr. Budget says we can't buy these sneakers right now. I didn't say that. That's just what the budget says, And so with putting boundaries in place, it protects your time. It protects the things that you want to prioritize. And so I talk a lot about that and just giving people like things that they can take away with them. Like, okay, what is it that you have as a goal? So if you say, my goal is I want to spend at least 30 minutes a day working out. If you're like, I don't have 30 minutes. Okay, fine. Let's find 3 times a day where you have 10 minutes. Can we do that? It's like, okay, if you're spending, this amount of time in a meeting and that could have been an email, let's take some of that time back. But that's a boundary because you're going to have to tell somebody, I'm not coming to those meetings that could be an email. Or guess what? I remember I worked for DC Public Schools and like our contract was called a tour of duty. You have a set schedule. If they agree that they pay you from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., why are you still there at 5 o'clock?
Mm.
Why? Now you're volunteering. And if that's what you choose to do,
Mhm.
that's fine. But take back that time. Put that boundary that you're leaving work on time. No one should be scheduling meetings for you at 4:30 if you're done with work at 4.
Mm.
Why? Like that makes no sense. And I remember what school district I used to work at. I'll never forget about interview. Um, I had been in the school district, came, left, or whatever, and then I came back and they had laptops. And when I left, they didn't have laptops. And so I had a question. I was like, "So I see you guys have laptops now. Do you expect people to work from home?" I was like, "Because I don't work from home because there's no telework within it." And so one of the people was interviewing me. She looked at me, she made some notes, and the other one was like, "Tell me more about this." I said, "Well, here's my philosophy. I can't bring my laundry here and fold it, so I'm not taking your stuff home and working on it." So, I mean, I don't understand, but that's a strong boundary. But
Mm.
when you think about it, that worked for me. Most people are not that bold. I mean, and of course, that was doing the interview, so you already know where I stand. So if you hire me, you know what's going to
Mhm.
happen. But you have to be able to put those things in place. So for me, being able to empower people to do it in a way that feels good to them, because that can feel harsh for some people, but it's like, okay, let's talk about what your situation is and let's see what you can put in. So, yes, the boundaries is one of the biggest things.
I need to come see and learn some more just in terms of my boundaries. I'm going to use that one, Mr. But to my kids, Mr. Budget said this, so it's not me. I love it. I
Okay.
love it. I'm going to use that.
Yes.
So, what season would you say you're in right now with your business?
I would say probably it's building. It's a season of building for me right now. As you are familiar with, I just released the book. And so with that, it's reaching out, sharing, letting people know, and just really being courageous about it. Because I was telling someone, so many times we think if we put something on social media, the world saw it. And they did it. It doesn't matter that the real count says 1,000 people saw it. Like they did it. They scrolled and saw it. And so being bold enough, to tell people about this great thing that you feel like God has given you to help other people with, and so that building process.
Yeah, so this is the Proverbs 3 Woman podcast, and I always ask all my guests, what quality of the Proverbs 3 Woman do you most identify with and why?
Oh, there may be two. Can I do two? Or does it have to be
Yeah, yeah,
one?
that's fine. Hey,
I would say
right.
probably courage and stewardship. Because one of my other things is just about being bold and that part of it, it takes courage, it's like be bold and courageous. Like I need you to be both of them,
Hmm.
and so she was very courageous, just in the things that she did. I mean, and in all that she had to manage, as well. And so with that, I would say just taking on that courage and be like, I'm just gonna do it. Ain't nobody gonna die. It's gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna be courageous. And then with the stewardship, just thinking about, okay, this business is a gift that God has given me. And so I am called to steward it well. And He has assigned me to impact the lives of women and help them to understand what it means to care for themselves, to get them back to realizing that Matthew 22:39 is real. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Like this is the second of the greatest commandments, and it's just like, what do I have to give to you if I'm not taking care of me? And so with that stewardship piece, it's like, okay, Beulah, you have to be a steward of your life, but you also have to be a steward of this business, and therefore go out and share it with people and let them know how you can help them because it's needed.
Yes, it is. It is much, 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 much needed. So how can women use like in terms of so sorry, what is that final encouragement that you would give to the woman who's exhausted, overwhelmed, and afraid that caring for herself will disappoint others?
It will. Just it will. And you have to be okay with that. Because we have to remember that we teach and train people how to treat us. And we teach and train people what's important to us. And if you are the person who have always been doing everything for everybody else first, oh, they're going to be disappointed initially,
Mhm.
but they will then start to come around. And there's ways to do it. Like, no, you're not going to miss the big things, the celebrations and, your kids' activities and all of those things. But you have to also learn that me taking care of me is just like the oxygen mask theory when we're on the airplane. Even if you have an infant next to you who cannot do anything for themselves, you have to put your own mask on first. And so it's the same thing. And so even though you may feel like you're exhausted, you're tired, look at your schedule and say, what's something I can delegate? Like, how can I buy back myself 30 minutes a day? Like, 30 minutes is always my thing because I feel like if you can give yourself, like, there's 24 hours in a day. You cannot tell me that you can't take 30 for yourself. Like, that is crazy. And we got a whole lot of work to do if you believe that. And so, the first thing is changing that mindset and that belief that she is worth it. She is worth the time and she understands that her self-care matters. Like getting what she needs is just as important as what she gives to other people. And so starting in small increments, that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you know what? I'm just going to have this cup of tea in silence. Like,
Mm.
I don't want any noise. Nobody needs anything from me. One of the things we did when my son was little, we trained him on mommy daddy time. And it was one of those things for my husband and I where we're not doing anything with or for you for these next few minutes, okay? You good. You've been changed, you've been fed, you got toys, all the things. And sometimes he would knock on the door and be like, is mommy daddy time over? Not yet. And we can literally just be sitting there looking at each other doing absolutely nothing. But it was like our quiet time to not
Mhm.
be engaged and to teach him to entertain himself, because he is an only child. But at the same time, it's the same thing with parents. It's the same thing with single moms. It's the same thing with single dads or whoever it is it may be. Like, put the boundaries in place, help people to be self-sufficient, delegate something, get some help, ask for help, take the cape off. Like, that's why you're
Mm.
exhausted because you got the cape on. Take the cape off. You're not Superwoman.
I love it. Love it. You're preaching to some of the stuff to me too. I love it. I was just this way. So I have enjoyed this conversation with you, Beulah. Honestly, just some insightful. You've given me some lessons that I'm going to be using, honestly, for myself. But how can people connect with you? Do you have any, retreats coming up? I know you talked about your book that you have coming up. Yes, yes, yes. I got my copy of your book. When is your book coming out? And just, is there anything like how can people connect with you?
The book release is July 1st, so it's in the pre-order stage right now.
Okay.
Um, and so people can connect with me on my website. It's bmartinwellness.com. So the letter B and then the letter E. So BE and then Martin, which is my last name. I have a connect form on there, and that's where they can also see like all of the events and everything. The next thing that I have coming up, I do have a retreat in the fall, but that's already sold out. But the next thing that I have coming up is I'm doing an online workshop on June 28th. And so I'm not sure when this episode will air, but I do one monthly. And so even if, someone misses that, they can go to my website and join the mailing list. And I send out a monthly newsletter. And so the information for everything that we're doing is always in there. And then on social media, I'm on Instagram as B Martin Wellness. I'm on Facebook as the same. And I recently started a YouTube channel as well, Pray and
Good.
Meditate with B. And so getting more into the prayer and meditation. And I'm supposed to be working on the B Martin Wellness YouTube channel too. That's in progress.
Good, 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 good. So we'll have all of that information in the description notes so that way you can connect with Beulah on this. Thanks again so much for being on the show. Truly, truly, truly appreciate it for being
You are
on.
more than welcome. Thank you for having me, Chioma.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Pleasure, pleasure. I've learned a lot. I have to say, I've learned quite a bit. So, folks, if you've enjoyed conversations like this that I've had with Beulah, just with how she impacts and just in terms of just learning, like I know I've learned a lot in just how to set boundaries with certain things, of just how to incorporate your body, your spirit, and that your being, and just how to incorporate wholeness into your life. If you want to enjoy more information like that, please share, like, and subscribe so that way we can have the algorithm push it to to more people to listen to more information like this. I see a lot of views, but not a lot of people subscribing. So if you could just please do me a favor and click the subscribe button. Truly, truly appreciate. So, folks, that's another episode of Becoming the Proverbs Third Woman podcast. My name is Chama Kende, also known as Special Agent Chi. And until next time, stay blessed, everyone. Bye.
Proverbs 31.